All right. Let me just check in. Okay, because it started lagging for a moment. All right. Well, Chelsea, what's your problem?
Um, Triangulating myself with money, putting myself in the victim seat. I'll manifest money and then somehow let somebody get a hold of it. And then I sit in that victim seat and, they spent my money. They emptied my account. They did this, they did that. And they did it because I allowed it to happen. So removing myself from that victim spot and to stop manifesting money blocks.
So, the victim,
Mhm.
stop being the victim,
Yep.
money blocks. Yeah.
A lot of anxiety around money, just from watching my parents growing up, seeing my mom work really hard and never have enough. And then at the same time, not seeing any sort of money thing with my father other than what I heard from my mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not seeing your money around your dad and having
No, I was
anxiety.
always told he had a lot of money, but I never saw it. I never, when I was in situations where I needed help, I didn't receive it.
I know.
And not understanding why.
Not understanding why your
Um,
dad had money but wouldn't help.
Well, whenever I needed financial help with young adults, with teenager and stuff, my mom, who had very little, would move the ends of the earth to figure out how to help me. But then I was always told, your dad's got a lot of money, he can help you. But then never getting help and associating, I think, needing a man to be the knight in shining armor, I suppose, in terms of money and finances, but then being in relationship after relationship where they're not providing financially, I'm doing all of it, and then I'm allowing them access to it and depleting myself. But then sitting in that, I'm the victim, they spent my money, as opposed to sitting in an empowered seat where I allowed that to happen.
Yeah, you're the victim. Yeah. That's right.
Does that answer your question?
That's right. You're the victim.
Mhm. Not, but I convince myself that I am.
Interesting how someone can do that.
What?
Interesting how someone can do that. How they can be the victim but not be the victim.
You turn your
How is
volume
that?
up.
Yeah.
I can't
You
hear
want me to
you.
turn it? Okay, give me a
Or
second.
move your mic in front of your mouth a little more.
Let me see if this helps. Is better?
A little bit.
A little bit. Let me see.
There you go. Okay.
Is this better?
A little bit. It's still quiet, but I can hear.
Quiet. Okay. Let me know if this is better.
Much better right there.
Okay. Excellent. So what I was saying is it's interesting how someone can be the victim, but also not be the victim. So how do you do that?
I'm able to dig myself out of holes that I will get myself in.
Dig yourself out of holes,
Financial holes, yeah.
financial holes.
I'm able to figure out the necessary means in order to get the required amount of financial stability, I suppose. By
There you go.
basically doing things that I don't want to be doing.
I know.
Took on a second job that I worked really hard to get out of the employment world, in creating my business, had a lot of success early on, and then stopped doing the necessary things that I needed to in order to maintain my business.
So how can you be a victim and not be a victim at the same time? There you go. That's it.
Well, I put myself in a position where I will blame those around me, but then very quickly I will shift to being,
What was that?
what was what?
What was that? You cleared your throat. What was that about?
I shift myself to becoming a projector.
Yep,
So
a
I'm no
projector.
longer a victim. Now I'm become my own savior, so to speak. I find the necessary means to figure my stuff out.
Yeah. You figure yourself out. You're no longer a projector. So how can someone be a victim and not a victim at the same time?
I suppose in a given moment, they can't. It's one or the other. So if I'm sitting in that victim role, then that is what I am in that moment. Until I convince myself otherwise.
Until you convince yourself otherwise. So there you go. How come you're choosing not to be in the victim world? That's right.
Yeah, I don't like it there. It's really uncomfortable. I like to be in the control of my own states. I like to know that I have
No, you don't.
No, I don't. There's fear. If it's all on my shoulders, then if it fails, then there's no one to blame.
Yeah. No one to blame. So how come you're choosing to be the victim? That's right.
Well, what's coming for me is my mom. Watching her, she played that role a lot, and I was always her martyr. I was always her like fixer in multiple realms, whether it's physical health or taking care of the house or managing her emotions. It was my role to keep it all in check.
That's
Even
right.
she was in a financial struggle at one point in time. She had pawned her wedding rings, and she had told me about it. I don't remember the circumstance or why we were on the topic of money, but she had told me basically the bills were piling up. She was considering bankruptcy. She pawned her wedding rings, and my teenage self took my paycheck and went and bought her rings back from the pawn shop. I'd done that once for her and bailed her out. There were times where I would come in and just deep clean her house, and 2 or 3 days later, it was a mess again. And in her passing, I can't find her wedding rings. I'm sure she pawned them again. I don't know what pawn shop they're at.
So you would buy her rings back for her. How come you did that?
because I knew they had value to her. I knew they were
No, they
important.
didn't. If they had value to her, she wouldn't have sold them,
Right.
but she did.
I suppose that they had value to me. I knew my mom didn't have a lot. So I knew when she was gone, I wouldn't be left with
Yeah.
much of anything.
You seem like you're getting emotional right now. What's coming up?
I want to be able to leave something for my children to set them up so they don't struggle. I don't want my kids to have to bail me out. I want to be able to provide for them.
Then how come you're not?
I am. I am. They have all their needs met. I just,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah, of course.
Are your needs being met?
No. I don't think my needs are monetary. I know I need to drink water every day, and I attribute my lack of drinking and my chronic dehydration to ADHD, and that I forget to drink water. I don't think
ADHD,
I don't think
drinking water.
I don't think I actually forget to drink water. I think I do it as a punishment.
So-
it's about feeling healthy, feeling good.
So I'm a little lost right now. So tell me, what is your problem? That's right. There it is.
There's a lot of them. I suppose the easiest singular word that would sum it all up would be anxiety. But anxiety is so many things. It's not one thing. It's the constant worry about all the things in my life. Whether it's, I know I need to meditate daily. I know I need to move my body daily. I know I need to drink water regularly and consistently. I know I need to eat a balanced, healthy diet. At one point in my life, I did all of those things and I felt the best I've ever felt. And I'm fully aware of it. And I know what to do because I've done it.
Are you doing it now?
I'm not at
Okay.
all, not even a little bit. And I constantly make up excuses as to why I'm not, but that's all that they are. They're excuses, and there's no reason I can't make the time. If I look at my life when I was doing those things in terms of busyness and time itself, I had a lot less time open then, but I still made the time. And
I
I'm
agree.
making time now.
There you go. That's right.
I opened up a new path in my life by acknowledging at my core who I am and accepting myself. But it doesn't actually appear that I've accepted myself. I think if I had accepted myself, I would be continuing to take care of myself. I
Accepting yourself. So how come you're not?
A lot of it has to do with wanting my family acceptance. I don't have my biological family of origin. I don't have connections to any of them. I don't have relationships with any of them. And then my ex-husband, I don't have relationships with that family that I created there, other than my children. I have connections with my girlfriend's family, but they're not mine. And if I don't have her, those, they go as well. Um,
I agree.
I have no one that I can really truly feel like I can rely on in
You
situations
sure?
where I need help other than myself.
How can you rely on yourself when you think you're the victim at times and you don't accept yourself? How does that work?
It doesn't
Yeah.
at all, obviously, because if it did, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now.
I agree.
I'm also discrediting myself a lot. I've done a lot and I've accomplished a lot. And I, part of me thinks that I don't know when enough is going to be enough. I don't know when I will feel as if I am at a place where I can enjoy life without having to work hard. I keep telling myself once my house is refinanced that I'll be able to get back into the swing of happiness, I suppose.
So you're saying part of you wants to work hard and the other part of you doesn't?
Yeah, my work is very fulfilling for me. I feel very good about myself when I'm serving others. Um, I I love my private practice therapy business that I run. Um, it fills that creative, intuitive, higher wisdom self, that cup of mine. It brings a lot of pride. Um, and in my other job, I'm a case manager for the Salvation Army, and I I love being able to help the, poverty stricken population,
I know.
but at the same time, I it's almost maddening.
Hmm.
They
I
say
agree.
they want the help, but then they don't want to do any of the action steps, and it's a
Sounds
mirror.
like you.
It's a huge mirror. Um, and a lot of that stuff, I'm helping people with getting out of financial binds in that role. I'm helping them meet their basic needs for survival.
Sounds
And
like you treat them all like your mom.
I do.
So what is it that you're not getting? That's right.
I don't feel like it's acknowledged the amount of mental work I put into helping those people. I
I
put in
agree.
so much. There's so much logic. There's so much like footwork in helping them. It's
Hmm.
networking and resourcing and connecting to the adequate people that can help. And it's a giant jigsaw puzzle. And I figure out, I do it, and I do it well, but people don't, I think, realize how taxing that is.
I agree. It's a
Um,
jigsaw puzzle you put together, but the other person pulls apart, just like what your mom did with you. You
yeah,
kept trying to help her and you never got what you wanted. And here you are in the same position in a career or a job where you're trying to help people in the same type of circumstance and you're not getting. So, what is it that you want?
I want to be seen and heard and acknowledged. I want what I do to be appreciated. I want what I do to matter. And I have that in my private practice. My clients in my private practice, they do the legwork for themselves and they appreciate my guidance. I'm
But that's not
not,
what matters. What's mad with the thing is you're not appreciative of what you're doing. That's how come you think of yourself as being a victim and not a victim. You're not accepting yourself. And because you're not, you want everyone else to do it for you.
right,
That's right.
yeah.
So my question is, how come you are choosing to not accept yourself?
A lot of it goes back to religion. It goes back to my family of origin. A lot of it's linked to sexual trauma.
Sexual trauma, religion, and family of origin. What can you do about that?
Not a damn thing. It's already done. It's already happened. I can't change those things.
So then what can you change?
The meaning that I give it, I have this ridiculous need to understand everything. I need to understand why I did this, why this person did this, what their motives, what their intentions. That's what I do. I'm constantly analyzing and trying to figure out the why behind absolutely everything. I logically know I will never know the answers to all of the things.
Interesting. How someone wants to know everything, but they at the same time know they won't know the answers. How do you do that?
Condition myself to figure out how to basically bounce between my two brain hemispheres.
Balance between your two brain hemispheres. Can you walk me through how you do that?
My physical body, the way I hold myself, the way I look, and where I hold my gaze, the way I tip my head will help me to toggle back and forth and figure out the logical answers to things that is what society deems right, in order for acceptance of the people or from the people around me. And then shifting to that intuitive, creative mind, the part of me that knows all that I need to know. I create spaces, physical spaces, where, like my office here, my private practice office, I'm more comfortable in my intuitive, creative mind here because I created this, and it
I'm going to
shows.
jump in because I have no idea what you're saying.
Okay.
It just sounds like a bunch of just gibber. So, what do you want? Or let me ask you this: what is your problem?
The first thing that came into my mind when you asked that was I don't trust myself.
There you go. I agree. You don't trust yourself. That's why you keep telling yourself, I'm this way, but I'm that way. So how are you responsible for not trusting yourself?
I don't allow myself to know myself by being with myself. That's probably the best way to describe it. I lean on logical knowledge that I've been taught. If you do this, say this, think this, act this way, that means you are this. And that puts you in that box. I live
So
in
um,
boxes.
so that's you not being responsible. You're going back to somebody else. So how are you responsible for not trusting yourself? Because you can't say you're responsible, but saying it's because of someone else.
Um,
There you go. That's it.
I just don't trust myself. I don't. I don't believe I can figure out what I need to figure out, even though I've done it over and over and over and over again. It's a cycle. I keep doing it, and it being all of the things.
All the things. You keep doing it, but you still don't trust yourself. Do you hear how distorted that thinking is?
It's really triggering. Um,
Yeah. What's coming up for you right now?
been
There it is.
told my entire life by my mother that I have distorted thinking, and that exact words, and I've never had anybody else say those words to me.
Distorted thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Distorted thinking.
she couldn't accept me, so she put me in boxes. She taught me how to box myself, categorize myself. Um,
Yeah.
there was always a reason for everything I did.
She taught you to box yourself because of distorted thinking. There it is. Getting closer.
Um, I suppose as a young child, I didn't ever think for myself. I wasn't allowed to, because
You weren't allowed to.
the thoughts that I had were not right.
Yeah,
The
I
things
agree.
I thought, felt, and experienced in life wasn't right. It didn't make sense to her.
Hmm. I agree. It didn't make sense to her because of distorted thinking. And because of that, she taught you how to box yourself, making you think that something wasn't right.
Not just myself, everyone around me. Every person I interact with, every person she interacted with, she, she boxed them. They have this. It's always they have this thing, whether it's bipolar or schizophrenia or any sort of mood disorder, any autism, ADHD. There's always a box as to why people are the way they are. They're never allowed to just be who they are because that's who they are. There was always needed to be a reason if it was something that didn't make sense.
Yeah, a box because of distorted thinking, especially if it doesn't make sense. There you go. That's it.
I don't know what to do with that. I don't know how to figure things out or connect the pieces of that puzzle without boxes and categories and reasons. My mom was obsessed with serial killer documentaries and understanding the minds of those people. She had a fascination with it, and these people did horrible things. They hurt a lot of people, but she had a very compassionate heart with them. And I didn't hurt people, but I had distorted thinking, and because of that, she didn't have compassion for my mind, for trying to understand me. She never wanted to understand me until I started getting into trouble.
Did you hurt people when you got in trouble?
No, I hurt myself.
Aren't you a person?
Yeah, and I suppose my actions of hurting myself did hurt other people
There it is.
from observing it. I never had the intention of harming another human.
But you did.
Yeah, I did.
You hurt people, and that made you think it was because of your distorted thinking and reminding you to put yourself in a box. Even though, like you said before, you know how to go from one hemisphere to the next, even though you're still dealing with this distorted thinking.
I know how to mask myself very well.
I know.
I know how to become a chameleon and be the person that the people around me need me to be.
I know. Because what I've been talking to for the first 40 minutes has been a chameleon. So what's stopping you from taking the mask off right now?
Probably because I can see you. Because there's things I can look at to distract myself, to ground myself back into the present moment time, which is, again, just another excuse I make for myself.
Yeah. So back to the question, what's stopping you from taking the mask off now?
A fear of not being accepted.
There you go. That's it. Fear of not being accepted because of distorted thinking, putting you in a box. A box that perhaps you believe your mom put you in.
Well, anytime I was put in a box, I was taken away. I mean, anytime there was something deemed wrong with me, my thinking, my behaviors, I was taken away. I was put in treatment centers. I was given meds upon meds upon meds that I don't know what those pills did to me. But that, again, it just puts me right back into that victim seat. At that time in my life, I couldn't stop what was happening. I couldn't control it. And again, that logical part of me knows there's no reason I would be taken and locked away in a treatment center as like some lunatic, I suppose. I don't
Some lunatic. There it is. Like some lunatic.
I've been told I'm psychotic and I'm having a psychotic episode.
There you
I,
go.
I wasn't psychotic. I was begging to be seen. I was wanting to be acknowledged. I wanted to know I mattered,
Yeah, I agree.
wanted to be heard.
You want to be heard, you want to be acknowledged, and you were told you were psychotic.
Because
There
I
it
had
is.
started thinking.
Yeah, all because of distorted thinking. You were told you were psychotic, and you realized that being acknowledged and heard made you seem like you were psychotic, which is how come you like to put the mask on, because you realize the real you is considered psychotic.
Yeah.
There it is.
And it's as young as I can remember. I had scarlet fever when I was like 3 or 4, and my mom, I was in the hospital, and my mom would leave to go smoke. And when she would leave, I would sit with one of the nurses, and she had long hair, and I would just run my fingers through her hair. And I felt so safe, and I felt so loved, and I felt so okay. And then my mom would come back, and I would smell the smoke on her. And I wasn't safe anymore. I quit smoking 2.5 years. I was tobacco free for 2.5 years.
What happened right there when you cleared your throat?
I said I quit smoking, and I didn't. I started again. I quit for 2.5 years, but then I started again.
Doesn't seem like you quit. It seemed like you just took a break.
Yeah.
There you go.
My mom was 42 and she had a stroke. And at one point in my life, I was working really hard to take care of myself so that I wouldn't suffer the same fate. Doctors always told me that once I turned 30, I would have to really monitor my health more because the chances of me having strokes and heart disease and lung disease like her would happen younger. And
What's happening now? Seem like you're getting emotional again.
I'm scared.
I know.
Um,
What are you scared of? There it is. You're doing good. That's it. There it is.
I don't want my children to have to go through life without me at a young age. I want to be here to
Yeah.
guide
I know.
them, love them, and support them. But I don't think I'm gonna be. And again, I know the things I need to do to take care of myself. But I'm giving that away by clinging on to this thing that I've been told. Every day that passes, I'm becoming my mother. I'm saying and doing the things she did. I'm literally doing the same job that she did. I'm taking care of everyone around me except for myself. And I take care of my children, but I don't give them the emotional attention that they need and the capacity that they need. Mirroring everything that she did. And all while I hold a lot of resentment for her, I miss her. And I don't feel it's fair that I lost her so young. I don't feel it's fair that my children don't have that relationship with their grandma. They won't remember her. It feels like I'm the only one that remembers her. Her husband, my stepdad, he's been in my life since I was in second grade. And I've talked to him 3 times since my mom died. 3 times in a year, this man raised me. My children called him Papa. And it's like I don't exist. It's like we're not here. We don't matter. And it's not just him, my own biological father. He's very much alive and well and living. He only lives an hour and a half away. But we never talk. He's never reaches out to see if I'm okay, to see if my children are okay. There's no relationship. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know my kids. When I was married, he talked to my ex-husband more than me and had a relationship and a bond with him. And I thought in my divorce that he would be there a little bit more. And he's not been. He's even worse. When we do interact, he's angry with my ex-husband and wants me to go after him for his retirement and stuff like that. And I don't want that. That's not mine. I'm not entitled to that. Just because I married somebody doesn't mean I should be given half of what they've worked to save. I just feel very alone. I have a very good relationship with my girlfriend. She's everything that I envisioned and what a partnership should look like. We communicate very well. We parent the kids very well together. She does recognize my needs. And it's helped with a lot of things. But at the same time, it's also brought a lot of awareness of how I'll become, I suppose, dependent on another person to recognize something wrong with me and bring awareness to me about it. I get really frustrated because I can help people very clearly, but I haven't figured out how to do it for myself. And that makes me feel hypocritical. And then I don't understand how I can possibly make a living helping people through their pain and their hurt and their traumas when I can't do it myself. Even though I can do it myself, but I choose not to. It's easier to blame everyone and everything around me than to look at how I created it, whatever is going on in my life. Yeah. And when I get in those spaces where I just let my thoughts flow, allow myself to ramble and say the things that are going through my head, none of it makes sense. And I usually can't remember where it started or how I got to the spot I'm at. I don't even remember the last question you asked me, nor do I recall all the things that I've just said. I don't know what that means. That little voice in my head, that running dialogue that's always going. Like a fucking sports commentary of my life. And I say something and that voice contradicts it. I say I don't remember what I just talked about, and that voice in my head says, yes, you do. And I get really frustrated because I don't know what I'm supposed to do. don't have somebody telling me, you need to do this, you need to do this. But if there's not somebody directing me, I don't know what to do. My ex-husband didn't like messes. So it was fairly better. It was better at keeping the house clean, organized. When I was with him. But then when I was doing a good job taking care of myself and exercising daily and eating healthy, drinking water and meditating, was when he was deployed. He wasn't around. It was just me and my kids. I did a much better job taking care of them and myself. And it's almost like when I get in a position that I have another person that I deem as an equal, another adult, another relationship or partner, I believe I shouldn't have to do it all. So I stop doing things in hopes that they'll pick up the slack. Because it's exhausting to do all of it. But then when they do start picking up the slack and helping with things, or I allow them to, I'll find a reason why they're doing it wrong. Not the way that I would do it, so that means it's not right. Then I create chaos. It's like I get bored in my mind, so I have to create a problem to solve. I never let myself just be. That's the goal, is to get to the point where I can just be. I can just relax. I can be in the moment with whoever I'm with and be connected to them and all things around me. But being in that space is boring. There's nothing to do there.
But just be.
And I think when I want to just be, and I try to envision what my life would look like if I allowed that to happen, it seems completely impossible because of the laundry list of things that I have to do in order to survive and in order to
Just
keep
be.
them alive.
Just be.
I start thinking of the baskets of laundry I have to fold. I start thinking about the divorce papers I need to fill out. I start-
Just be.
I get really frustrated when I'm there
Good.
because
Where do you feel that frustration?
my head, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if I'm just being, the present state I'm in is going to be that forever, and stagnancy is,
So nothing changes if nothing changes. Seems like that's what's going on in your life now, even when you're trying to change. Because how can you not like being there because it's boring when all you're doing is just being?
I logically tell myself that that's what I want, but I don't think it's what I actually want.
I agree.
I want to make a
You don't
difference.
know what you want. No, you don't. You don't want to make a difference. You want people to make a difference for you. And that's how come you get frustrated when you just be. There you go.
It was always my responsibility. It was always my responsibility to fix my mom's problems from as young as I can remember. My earliest memory is literally being a baby in a bassinet, listening to my mom and my grandma argue about my mom didn't want me. She had me because my dad wanted kids.
Your mom didn't want you.
No,
Yeah.
she wanted to live her life. And
Your
then
mom didn't want you, and she wanted to live her life. Your mom didn't want you. There you go.
no, but in her not wanting me, it became my job to meet every single one of her needs all of the time.
Yeah.
I
I know.
couldn't play with the toys too loud. I couldn't make too big of a mess. I
You're right.
couldn't laugh. I couldn't play. I couldn't experience any happiness because my
Your mom,
happiness was made her cringe.
yeah. It made her cringe because your mom didn't want you. And you made it your goal to get her needs met because you wanted her to want you, but your mom didn't want you.
So how do I have value or
There it is. That's
worth
it.
importance when my own mother didn't want me?
How do you have value, worth, and purpose, even if your own mother didn't want you?
And my dad doesn't want me now. He doesn't want a relationship. My stepdad doesn't. Nobody wants me.
Your dad doesn't want you. You barely talk to your stepfather, and your mom didn't want you. and you have no worth, value, or purpose.
The only time my mom tried to fight for me, or tried to have me, was when I was taken away and put in a treatment centers.
Yeah.
And then she would write letters to judges. She would do all of the things in order to try to get me back. But the minute I was back, it went right back to how things were before. She didn't want me back. She just wanted people to not judge her for the fact that her daughter was in a treatment center.
Yeah, I know. Your mom didn't want you. And she just didn't want to be judged, just like you don't want to be judged.
I want my children.
I know. And I'm still here. I'm just going to grab my computer charger.
Okay.
And you want your children. What's coming up for you?
I created a business where I'm wanted.
You sure?
Started out that way. I'm not sure.
Why do you want to be wanted?
To know that I matter.
To know that you matter. But you don't because your mom didn't want you. Your dad didn't either. There you go.
The only person I felt wanted me around was my grandma. She died when I was in 6th grade. My grandma was so important in my life. It's part of the reason why I had kids so young. It's because I wanted my kids to have that relationship with my mother that I never got to have. I know
Your
my
mom is having a relationship with your mother. You want to know how, right?
What do you mean? What did you say?
Your kids are having a relationship with your mother, and you do know why, correct?
Yeah, because I'm becoming her.
You're not becoming her, you are her. You want your kids to have a relationship with their mother. They've been having it this entire time. And if you are your mother and your mother made you feel like she didn't want you and that you didn't matter, perhaps you could be doing the exact same thing to them.
I do that to them.
I know. So what can you do to stop this?
first thing that came to me is I need to be like my grandma. But I don't like that.
I know you don't.
I don't want to be someone else. I want to be myself.
Then what's stopping you from being yourself?
I don't know who I am. I have no idea who I am
I know.
without my mom telling me who I am.
That's right.
And she's gone, and I feel completely lost.
Yeah, you're lost. Don't know who you are. Got your mom telling you who you are. But that's not true, is it? Because you do know who you are. You're a person with distorted thinking who, when does things on their own, is considered to be psychotic. So
It's
you do
not
know.
distorted though. Like the things I do make sense.
Did it make sense to your mom?
No, it didn't make sense to anyone around me, but I can explain exactly why I do the things I do and what it gets to.
What's
I-
the reason to explain what you do to other people?
So they understand me.
How can someone understand you and you don't understand yourself?
I suppose in me explaining myself to other people helps me to understand myself.
Has that been working? That's right.
It's not, but I want it to. I want it to work.
It's not, but you want it to. You want it to where you can try to understand, tell people how to understand you so you can understand yourself. And it's not working, but you want it to. I think that saying is the saying about that. When you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different results, called insanity.
Yeah.
That sounds psychotic.
Yeah.
That sounds psychotic and like distorted thinking. And makes sense how come someone would put themselves in a box. That's right.
Makes me feel like a con artist.
I know. Con artist.
It makes me think that I'm a sociopath or that I'm a narcissist. But then I think those things, and I know that can't be true because if that was true, my mother would have understood me. She understood those people.
Perhaps you are those things because you wanted her to understand you. Perhaps you chose to become those things so that way your mom would want you, just like she was interested in people like that.
Yeah. That's not who I am, though.
How do you know if you don't know who you are?
Because I can't believe that the way I feel physically when I'm being those things,
But you're not being, remember? Because you're telling me you're not those things, but you don't know who you are? What if you are those things
And then I
and
think
you just don't want to acknowledge it?
then
There
I'm
you
a
go.
danger to those around me, and I don't belong in society.
You're a danger to those around you, and you don't belong in society. So who do you want to be then?
I want to be someone that has the ability to love unconditionally. I know I can be that because I have been that. I have, at points in my life, loved myself completely, and I've loved my children and the people around me. I have been that.
Then
But
why'd you stop being it?
because I remembered that I don't make sense to people.
Says who?
My mom, the legal system, the different therapists and counselors and people I worked with as a child and a
Your
teenager.
mom, teachers, therapists.
All of the authority figures in society, the judge, all the adults around me as a child. I didn't make sense to any of them. I can't name a single adult until I was like 27 years old. Until I met an authority figure that got me.
So what's not important about you being understood by people?
What's not important? Um, I guess it's unsafe if I don't feel people understand me. I don't, it's not important.
There you go.
I don't even know what that question means. What's not important? I suppose other people's perspective. I suppose the stories of who I am for other people really don't matter. Because there's a lot of different versions of me that everybody knows, and they all know a different version. If you put everybody in a room and ask them to describe me, there'd be very few people that would have the same answer. I don't feel like I'm one person. I feel like I am a million people in one body. And it's just a matter of feeling the people around me and being what they need. I don't know how I get down the rabbit holes that I do. because I'm supposed to be answering what's not important. And I don't know how to answer that because everything's important. Everything is a part of it. Everything's a piece of the puzzle. Everything's all connected. I feel like my mind is too big for this world. I feel like I understand too many different perspectives to be able to confidently say, this is what I believe about this thing. Because the minute I get to that point where I think I believe something, because it's what I believe, some part of me is able to figure out a way to invalidate that belief and shift the perspective and see things in a different way. So I struggle to identify what I think or feel or believe because I can shift it so rapidly. I suppose as a young child, I instinctually shifted very towards a negative perspective of things because it's what I witnessed. But when I was taking care of myself regularly, I was interacting with people that had very positive outlooks on life. And then constantly make the excuses that I'm in South Dakota, so it's conservative here and people don't understand. And I continually tell myself that I have to stay here because to be around the like-minded people that I really connect with and that I feel really good interacting with, they don't reside here. Very few people like that are here. And if everyone that gets to that space in their mind leaves South Dakota, South Dakota will never change. And I feel like somebody has to be that person that will bring that change. I don't know why I think that's my responsibility. I don't even know that I would want to leave if I could. And I suppose I really struggle to identify what I want because when I express my wants, when I sit down and I think about it and I write out what I want, it never comes in the way that I think it will. really put a lot of thought and focus and effort into what I wanted in a partnership and in a relationship when my marriage was struggling. And everything that I wanted, I do now have, and I am incredibly grateful for it, but it's not with the person I thought it was supposed to be with.
So I'm going to jump in, Chelsea, because everything that you were saying for the last 10 minutes was just babble. So what is your problem? That's it.
I guess I don't really have a problem as much as I mentally create problems. In this moment here and now, where I'm at, what I'm doing in life, I'm okay.
That's right. So when you think about the problem, what's different now?
I think it, I'm just continuing to create it.
So what's different?
Well, right now, there's a level of exhaustion that I feel.
What's that from? That's
I
right.
I don't want to figure out the solution to a problem that I don't actually think is a problem.
Then how about you stop making things a problem?
Suppose just and that puts me in the place where I feel like I have to figure out how do I stop making things a problem. But I suppose it's as simple as, I guess, asking myself if this really is a problem.
That's right. Getting closer.
There's fear that comes with that question, but it's
Fear.
exhausting to be scared.
Yeah. Exhausted and scared because you're making things a problem that aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tired of living that way.
What's that?
I'm tired of living that way.
Then How about you stop making things a problem if they're not?
My mind just goes to how do I not make a problem out of things? Um,
How do you make problems?
by thinking, constantly thinking.
Then how about you think less? There it is.
I'm trying to, I'm not trying to, I'm instinctually giving myself a reason as to why that won't work. So if I think less, then I feel my physical body more.
Good. Maybe that's what you should do.
It hurts.
Good.
I don't like feeling my physical body.
I know. That's why you think so much, to create problems, to distract you from your body.
Yeah, I live in a very dissociative state because I don't like the way
I
my
know.
body feels. I don't like the feeling of being weighed down. I don't like every twinge and every muscle and every joint and every connection. It's
I know.
very confining, it's very restraining.
Yeah, it's very refining and restraining to be you. Must not feel good to be you, does it?
No,
Yeah. So it's probably easier to create problems. They're not there.
yeah,
When aren't you in your body and feeling?
always.
Well, that's not true, because you just told me you can feel the cringes.
Right now I can
Good.
because I'm not thinking about problems
Good.
and I feel the pain and that's a problem. And that instantly will put me back into, okay, what do you need to do to solve that problem? And it starts that cycle of work out, eat healthy, drink water, meditate. Those are the things that make my physical body feel good.
Working out, eating well, drinking water makes your body feel good. That sounds like it's not a problem.
It's not a problem, but I make it a problem because I have that knowledge and I don't do anything with it.
What if the way to solve your problem is to not make it a problem? There you go. That's it.
It wasn't a problem when I was doing those things. So I just need to do it.
Wasn't a problem when you were doing those things, and you just need to do it. Sounds like it's very similar to you just being.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's stopping you from making problems problems?
Fear.
Yeah. And what are you fearful of? There it is.
Shit that's not real. I'm scared of,
You're scared of stuff you're scared of shit that's not real. That's funny. Don't you think? You're scared of shit that's not real.
Yeah.
You're scared of shit that's not even real. Shit that doesn't even exist. You're afraid of.
yeah. Last night when I was putting my 3-year-old to bed, she's scared of her dreams. She's scared of the monsters. She's scared of the ghosts. And I sat there and taught her, you poke mom, you feel mom, mom is real. You can feel it physically. But these monsters and these things, you can see them, but if you touch them, if you poke them, they disappear.
Yeah.
She got it. She absolutely got it. And I don't know where that came from. I just knew to explain that to her in that way. I suppose it's probably because
I know.
hear that myself.
Yeah. You just said it to yourself.
Yeah.
You taught your daughter to feel it in order for you to know it's going to go away. Because you taught her that it's not real and it's imaginary. So all she needs to do is to touch it, to feel it, that it's not real. Just like you're choosing to not feel and being afraid of things and shit that's not even real.
Yeah.
What's you smirking about?
Because it seems really silly
It's very silly, but you're doing it.
every day, all day.
Yeah, every day, all day, you're being afraid of shit that's not real. And this is a very serious matter we're talking about, but you're still smirking about it. Just like right now. There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah. How come it's so funny? How come what's so funny about this?
Because I can sit there and look at my 3-year-old daughter and I can help her figure that out. And I get it. And I knew the things to say and how to say it in order to help her not be paralyzed for that fear. I was able to give her what I needed to be told as a child.
You said things the way you needed to say it, the way for her to figure it out, the way for her to understand it, just like the way you needed it to be done for you.
Yeah.
Sounds like you can be understood. Don't you think?
I understand myself through my children. I do understand myself through them. And that fear wants to creep in of, if I understand them, it's because they are like me, which means they are me. And I don't want to make them me. So then I question if I should, but it helped
Your
her. She got
kids
it.
are like you. Your kids are like you. And you are understood through your kids. And you're just like your mom, which means your kids are your mom, which means you just stated that if your kids can understand you, you can understand yourself, and your mom can understand you. So what's the problem?
My kids aren't me. They're their own person. And it's wrong of me to be using them as a means to understand myself when I should be learning who they are.
How can you learn who someone is if you're choosing not to learn yourself? There it is.
Trial and error, I suppose. I trusted myself last night with my 3-year-old. Initially, I was very frustrated and irritated with the whining and the crying. And I became my mother, reacted to her the same way. And when I walked away, it didn't feel good. It felt horrible. And I went back in there and I treated her like a human. I asked her what was going on. I invited her to share with me what she was experiencing. And I allowed myself to enter into her world, I suppose.
That's right. You entered into her world to understand her. How can you enter into your own world to understand yourself?
Meditate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I convinced myself that meditating didn't work because it got to the point where every time I would meditate, I would lose all conscious awareness and then I wouldn't remember any of it.
What is there to remember?
The experience, I suppose, which is, I guess, silly because that's just
I know.
me back to the past.
The experience is when you just be.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first hour of this session?
No,
Of course
I
not.
remember the last 10 minutes of
Yeah.
this.
Neither do I. However, does it matter?
No,
Yeah, it doesn't. I agree.
no,
So,
it doesn't.
how about you give yourself the ability to do what's best for you? Because just like you said, you don't remember the last 10 minutes of this session. How do you feel?
I don't need to remember it. My mind, what I do know of it is its ability to bring to the surface what I need when I need it.
Bring to the surface what you need when you need it. Bringing to the surface what's important. Just like meditation is going to allow you to know what's important. So you have no need to try to remember. the entire experience, because your mind will bring to the surface what you need to know and what you need to remember.
Yeah.
There you go.
I do know that. And I tell myself that all the time because I know it. 'Cause I've lived that. I've experienced that. Even when I create the problems, that still happens. The solution to the problems that I create in my mind come.
There you go.
But there's a bajillion and one different solutions to those problems. Whereas the actual present moment problems that I deal with, when I deal with, the answer comes, there's one answer. I know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and the problem is solved.
Then what's the problem?
There isn't any.
You're right.
There really isn't any at all.
You're right. So when you think about the problem being the problem, what's different?
But I guess the problem is the boxes. It's the wanting to categorize the things that the people around me perceive as like that they don't understand.
And what's the problem with them misunderstanding you?
And then I just it's like if it's that problem, if it's cancerous, I metastasize it. I make it so much bigger in order to get a better understanding of it. So then I can explain it to those people. And I don't need to fucking do that. I don't need to make fictional problems bigger in order
You
to
don't.
explain to blow down the
You
street.
don't need
to
to
what I-
do that. You don't need to do that.
No, I don't.
So how is that a problem?
It's not a problem.
You're right.
It's not a problem.
So how is the problem that you're making problems different?
Well, I have the awareness of what I'm doing.
Good. What was that?
Understanding is power.
There you go. That's right. You sure?
No,
Then why'd you say it if you're not sure about it? Sounds like you're lying.
that's the programmed loop.
That loop, this. I think people do this when they say someone's crazy. Yeah. What's so funny about someone saying they're crazy? What's funny about that?
Because I didn't realize that's what I was doing.
I know. There you go again. There it is.
It's really gross.
Yeah. That's right. It's gross.
Making
It's-
myself crazy.
Yeah, you're making yourself crazy, and that's gross.
It's really
There it is.
fucking.
There it is. What's going on now? Lots of movement going on. Lots of movement when it comes to something about you being crazy. There it is. Yeah. Crazy. Crazy and gross. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, it is. Getting closer. It's crazy. Isn't it?
It's because I can sit with clients that society deems as
There you go. Let it out.
these people that society says are crazy or they're psychotic or they're delusional or whatever society says they are. And I can sit with them and I can see them and I can understand them. And they make perfect sense to me.
I know.
And
Because your mom understood narcissists and people like that, and she didn't understand you because you weren't those things. However, you believe you're crazy and psychotic. So now you can understand people like that. And the
But-
thing is, most people you believe don't understand you.
they're
Then
not
what are you?
crazy. I'm not crazy. They're not crazy. They're not psychotic. I'm not psychotic. It's
Then what are you?
well, that sounds arrogant. But I feel like I'm a fucking genius. I
There you go.
can understand things in a way that
There it is.
very few people can understand.
There it is. You
And
can
I
understand things.
people make sense of things
That's right.
that very
You
few people
can.
have been able to do for them.
You're right there. You can make people understand things, and you're a fucking genius. And you can make people understand things that many people can't make them understand. How does that make you feel?
It feels good because I know that is true.
I know. I agree with you. So when it comes to your problem, what's different then?
I think I locked that part of me away for a long time because I didn't want the judgment of society. I didn't want to hear what people, I didn't want to listen to people point out my arrogance or my ego.
Really? You sure?
I suppose part of me probably did.
Sounds like you're just telling me that you're just a lot smarter than other people. What's wrong with that?
For me, there's nothing wrong with that. But for the people in society around,
There you go.
why it bothers people. I guess I would prefer to sit with somebody that has more intelligence than me to learn from them. I don't feel I feel intimidation with people that are more intelligent than me, but I have excitement with it. I want to learn from them. I want to understand them. I
You
don't.
want to learn from them.
Yeah.
And you don't like being smarter than people. That's funny.
I know. That really
Yeah.
doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it doesn't, does it?
No,
No.
no.
There
I
you go.
guess I probably attribute being smart or intelligence with better than. And I don't ever want to be perceived as better than another human being,
But who's making that assumption?
me.
Then what's preventing you from not doing it? There it is. There it is.
Not doing what? That's what came. What is preventing me from not doing what? That's what, whatever question you just asked, that's how my brain processed it. And that the way my brain processed it, it makes no sense because it's irrelevant. Because it really doesn't matter what other people think or feel.
There it is. It doesn't really matter what other people think or feel. How other people think and feel doesn't matter. Just like understanding that no matter what you do, people are going to think and feel the way they are going to choose to think and feel.
Yeah.
It's all based off of their perspective. And just because you perceive yourself as being smarter than someone, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. To me, that seems like it's a great feat, accolade to give yourself. And even when you perceive people as smarter than you may feel intimidated at first, but then you get excited because that gives you the ability to even become smarter, making yourself better. And you can think about it this way. I'm sure your clients would adore for you to be smarter than them in a particular field because now they can have more trust in you helping them help themselves. And what you'll be doing in that moment is you'll be teaching them that they don't need anyone. All they need is themselves to solve their own problems.
Right.
And there's a story about there's these gods and they came together and they had all this wisdom and they wanted to figure out what to do with it. They realized that humans were growing quite rapidly and they didn't want to give them all the wisdom. So one god said, how about we hide all the wisdom in the world in the deepest parts of the oceans? And then one god said, no, because man will eventually find a way to travel into the deepest parts of the ocean and find it. And then one god said, how about we put all the wisdom on the highest peak of the highest mountain? Another god said, no, because man will eventually find out how to climb and hike the mountain to gain the wisdom. And then the last god said, I know where to hide all the wisdom. Let's hide all the wisdom in their mind because we know that's one place they'll never want to look.
Right.
Because the problems that you're creating are problems because you're making them problems. However, the solutions that you're looking for are in the exact same place. They're not outside of you. They're not because of your mom, your stepdad, the legal system, your ex-husband, your kids, the deepest part of the ocean, the highest part of the mountains. What you're looking for is already in you because it always has been and it always will be. What makes someone feel crazy and psychotic is when they're looking in all the wrong places, scratching their head. But it's funny when people scratch their head, they're touching the exact same thing where they should be looking.
Yeah,
That makes sense, doesn't it?
it does. That makes a lot of sense. And I know myself, I do have a deep fascination of learning about the mind. I took a very logical approach to that.
Good. Well, tell me, how do you feel now?
I feel tired, but
Good.
it's not an exhaustion tired. I worked hard and I'm proud of myself. And now I get to
There you
rest
go.
tired.
There you go. Good.
Yeah,
Where, what city are you in?
Mitchell.